A warm welcome back to Tungsten Tales and Darts Daily, and we're here today to talk about the return of big time darts and the return of the Bahrain Darts Masters, which is starting tomorrow evening as I'm speaking, 5 p.m. in the UK for the opening rounds. That's the last 16, with the quarterfinals, semi-finals and final to be played on Friday evening from 4 p.m. here in the United Kingdom. It's the return of big-time darts, the first time they would have taken to the stage since Alexandra Palace and since Luke Littler claimed the World Darts Championship. And it's an opportunity to maybe shake off a little bit of rust, an opportunity to get our first title in the bank for 2025. So we'll have a look at the draw, the order of play, and everything you need to know ahead of the Bahrain Darts Masters. So without further ado, we'll jump into everything and look at the draw that is ahead of us for tomorrow. The number one seed heading into the tournament is, of course, the world number one, the man who is far and away leading on the PDC order of merit, and that is Luke Humphries. He will take on one of the Bahrain qualifiers in Abdullah Saeed. I have to say, I don't know a huge amount about Abdullah Saeed, so I would expect Luke Humphries to come through that one with minimum of fuss. In the quarterfinals, he will meet the winner of Nathan Aspinall, the former World Match Play and UK Open champion, and Zhaochen Zong, the qualifier from China, who we saw at this year's World Championship. We've seen him at the World Championship a number of times, and I think over the best of 11 legs, which all these first round matches are played over, it will cause Aspinall some problems. There's obviously been a lot of conversation around Aspinall's inclusion in the Premier League. He's included in these opening couple of World Series events as well. I expect Zong to give him some trouble in this one. As we move into the third match, Stephen Bunting returns and he faces India's Nitin Kumar. We've seen Nitin Kumar at the World Series before and at Alexandra Palace in 2024 as well. But Bunting's in great form. He's coming up to defending his Masters title in a couple of weeks' time. Played really well at the World Championships to make the semi-finals, and I'd expect him to do a job on Nitin Kumar here as well. The second of the Bahraini qualifiers in Bassem Mahmood takes on Chris Dobey. Mahmood's a really good player. He performed well on the World Series a couple of years ago. Of course, represented Bahrain in the World Cup of Darts. And I think he will cause Chris Dobey some problems if Chris Dobey isn't at his best. He had a great World Championship, Chris Dobey, but if you look along his 2024, there wasn't a huge amount to lean on in terms of his form. But you'd expect him to get through that one, and if he does, Stephen Bunting is likely to await in the quarterfinals. So we go into the bottom half of the draw, and the number 2 seed, who is the reigning world champion, Luke Littler. And he faces the Philippines' Lawrence Alagan. Lawrence Alagan, probably one of the most well-known players from the Asian region. But with the form that Luke Littler is currently in, it's very, very difficult to see past the reigning world champion in this one. So I'm going to say that Luke Littler will be the man to get through his first round match at the Bahrain Darts Masters. As he begins his defence of the title, he will play the winner of Gerwin Price and Lok Yin Lee. Lee really impressive at the World Championships. Took out Gabriel Clemens in that opening round before coming in the second round to Brendan Dollar. Was nowhere near his best in that second round, but is very, very capable player. And we know Price always hasn't hit the heights in 2024. And if that continues into 2025, he could be vulnerable against Lok Yin Lee. The winner of that obviously will take on Luke Littler as well, the number 2 seed and world champion. In the final section of the draw, you've got Rob Cross against Paulo Nebrida. Nebrida made history at the 2025 World Championships, the furthest an Asian player has gone at the Alexandra Palace, or indeed any PDC World Championship, when he reached the last 16, Really, really impressive from the breeder. He's going to have to do that again if he wants to beat Rob Cross, who went out early on against Scott Williams, Alexander Palace. And I expect it to be a really good game, that one. It's going to be played at a relatively slow pace. We know that's how the breeder likes to play. And look, he can definitely cause problems for the former world champion in Rob Cross, as can all the Filipino players in the field. And another Filipino player takes on Peter Wright in our final first round match of the Bahrain Darts Masters, and that's Alexis Toilo, who came through his opening match at Alexander Palace as well, and he will take on Peter Wright, who is included in the field. Many are saying at the expense of Michael van Gerwen. Michael van Gerwen not at the Bahrain Darts Masters. I believe family commitments are the reason that he isn't there, though he will be at the Dutch Darts Masters in just over a week's time. But Peter Wright, the replacement for Michael van Gerwen, he takes on Alexis Toilo, and if the World Championship is anything to go by, then he's got a real chance of doing some damage in this tournament. Toilo is no pushover. Again, much like the breeder, plays at a fairly lethargic pace and will cause problems for Peter Wright. But Peter Wright is a world-class player, has been for many, many years, and you'd expect him to get the job done against Toilo. So what else do we need to know about the Bahrain Darts Masters? Well, first of all, the prize fund. The winner will get £20,000, with the runner-up collecting £10,000. It's the first in a number of World Series events on this year's World Series, and is the third staging over in Bahrain. If we look back 12 months ago, Luke Littler was the man to collect that title as he defeated Michael van Gerwen in the final. And I remember at that time when Luke Littler took that title, he'd just been included in the Premier League. There was a lot of talk about whether he should be in that lineup after just having one real tournament of success on the PDC, of course, making that first PDC World Final in 2024, the final would be, losing out to Luke Humphries on that occasion. There was a lot of talk about whether he could back up what he'd done at the Alexander Palace, and that's exactly what he did over in Bahrain, defeating Michael van Gerwen in the final with a 95 average. And if you look at his other performances throughout the tournament, he defeated Gerwyn Price in the semis, Nathan Aspel with 104.5 average in the quarterfinals, and you'll remember fondly the 9-darter which he hit in that as well. We can look forward to the World Series not too far away, the Dutch Darts Masters as well. Slight changes to the Dutch Darts Masters in 2025. A couple of names you may expect to be in there, unfortunately, will not be joining us in the Netherlands. It is, as you'd expect, the Premier League 8 who make up the PDC representatives. But as far as the Benelux representatives go, you've got Danny Noppert, Dimitri van den Berg, Dirk van Dijvenbode, Jan van Veen, Raymond van Barneveld, 5-time world champion, Jermaine Wattimena, who's been in fantastic form of late, as has Kevin Doots, reaching the last 16 of the World Championship. And the last name on the list is a former quarterfinalist in the BDO. That's Richard Veenstra, who seemingly has got ahead of Mike de Decker, who pulled out due to family reasons. We covered that on Tungsten Tales the other day over on our YouTube channel. Feel free to go and subscribe there for more daily darts content and plenty of interviews coming up with some of the world's top players in the next couple of days. And de Decker was the man to take that final spot, as I say. But unfortunately couldn't make it due to family commitments, much like Michael van Gerwen over in Bahrain, and Richard Veenstra is the man to step into his shoes. So we'll quickly run through, for those who have joined us a little bit late, what the draw is looking like for the 2025 Bahrain Darts Masters. Luke Humphries versus Abdullah Saeed, Nathan Aspinall against Zhao Chen Zong, Stephen Bunting against Nitin Kumar, Chris Dobie against Bassem Mahmood, Luke Littler, Lawrence Largan, Gerwyn Price, Lok Yin Lee, Rob Cross against Palmer Breeder, and Peter Wright against Alexis Toilo. So join us tomorrow when the action will be underway. We'll be reviewing the darts once it has come to a close, the last 16 anyway, and look forward to seeing you once again for more great darts content here on Tungsten Tales.